Hello everyone, this is Tina with Tiaz's Treasures, and today we're going to see what is in the Hero Arts, what is it, September 2023 kit, and we're going to make a few cards. Oh joy. Okay, I didn't get any extra add-ons this month, so this is it. I did get my add-ons from last month. I wonder if I should do something with those. Well, let's see what's in the kit. Always get this nice handy-dandy little mesh bag that'll fit our Hero Arts kit. Which part is the... Let's see, what's the add-on this month? The classic kit comes with these fall messages. Let's get a piece of paper so you can read that. Let's see, can you see that? Thank you. Happy sweater weather, sending my gratitude, autumn greetings, happy fall, happy autumn, hello friends, season of thanks, thankful for you and with gratitude. We also get, wait, this, the classic, I'm like losing my mind. I'm reading the premium kit going, wait, that's not right. We get 3 layering stencils. That's pretty cool. It's got little mushrooms, pine cones, and leaves. We also get this coordinating fall window die. This is what the stencil colors. We get 4 ink cubes, spicy mustard, espresso, cherry, and caramel. I know I don't have the spicy mustard. I might not have the cherry. I know I have caramel. Pretty sure I have espresso. Whether they're in Hero Use or just regular Hero colors, I'm not sure. We also get 4 clear card panels. Should be in here. Always use some of those. Looks like we might end up having to make a shaker card. We get a unicorn lacquer pen. What makes it unicorn? Is it sparkly? I don't know. I have a lot of lacquer pens, and unfortunately, I've been known to just kind of throw them in my drawer and not use them. So maybe I'll pull them all out and see if they're any good and try to use this one. And so that's it for the regular kit. And the premium kit, we get... Let's see, open this up. I know the last few months it had something like a sticker that would say premium. This one does not. It just does there. It says premium. So this comes with some contour ink. I assume this is so you can like, no line coloring. That's pretty cool. Works with alcohol markers, colored pencils, and watercolors. Ooh, there's that. We get 2 sheets of bronze glitter paper. That is so pretty. And then we get the stamp pad along with the fancy dies. And the stamp pad has some cute little fox critters. Oh my God, those are just adorable. Sending hugs, you make my heart sing, doing a happy dance. Let's dance like the leaves in the wind. Leave your worries behind and thank you. Little pumpkins. And it looks like it cuts out everything except these sentiments. There's a little fire. It's got some little mushrooms and stuff too that I do not see. There's leaves and things that are not on this die. So, well, there's the pumpkin, and it does cut out the little foxes. So it cuts out more than what's on this stamp set, it looks like. Is there one for the fire? I don't know. We'll have to figure it all out. I wonder if if any of these cut out. Well, probably not. Just talking to myself at this point. So anyway, I'm going to have to think about this and see what kind of cards we could make. So let's go ahead and make some cards. Okay, for this first card, I'm getting out the Waffle Flower Grip Mat, and we are going to be doing some stenciling with all 4 colors of the Hero Arts ink. Now, you could actually use the stencil without using the die, but I decided to use the die because, you know, I wanted to see how it looked. I actually, on all 4 of my cards, well, 2 of them, I used the stencil and I used the die for both of them. So I'm starting off with the caramel color, and I've got it sped up quite a bit here because otherwise this video would be a lot longer. The video is longer than I want it to be, but I want to show the, I guess, the salient points of the each card. So on the second color, I'm using the espresso, but I should have used the spicy mustard. If I had to do it again, I would have reversed the order just because it's pretty dark here. It actually looks more dark in the video than it does in real life. It does dry back a bit, so that's a good thing. Now for this third stencil here, I'm going to use 2 colors, and I didn't end up really needing to mask off because the mushrooms that I did in the cherry ink were far enough apart that I was able to make it work without a mask, which is good because sometimes masking, you know, it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. But even though I did use the mustard color third instead of using the espresso here, it's still, I think it all worked in the end. I like the way everything kind of showed up. So, you know, you can do it almost in any order, but I think it did show the order on the website. There's somewhere that shows you the correct order to use the inks. And, you know, I never follow the rules, so what the heck. But after this dries, I do use my gel pen to put little dots all over the mushrooms, which is good because if I would have used like the unicorn, what's it called? The unicorn lacquer pen, my mind went blank. I would have like smeared them all over the place. And you'll see me do that later. Now I'm bringing in some cardstock from scrapbook.com. It's a reddish orange. It's more red than orange, but it's got just enough orange in it that I think it matches this card perfectly. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make a shaker card. So I'm using some Nuvo adhesive tape runner here that I've got. It was on my desk, so I grabbed it. And besides, for using acetate, I don't like using glue because it takes too long to dry and the acetate kind of moves on me, and I have enough issues when I'm making cards. I don't need my acetate moving as well. And I'm lining everything up here using my Score Buddy because it gets stuff nice and lined up in the corner without me, you know, messing it up worse than I would anyway. And I'm going to use that again when I tape down my red cardstock here, calling it red because red orange is like too long. My red orange cardstock. But getting that all taped down using the Score Buddy again. And I am going to bring in some foam tape now, I think, or am I going to stamp? Nope, I'm going to stamp. I am going to stamp our greeting first, and I'm going to use some white StazOn ink, and I am going to stamp Season of Thanks. Now you want to use something like StazOn and acetate unless you plan on heat embossing. And you can heat emboss certain acetate. You've got to be quick with it. It's probably going to warp, and I just think it's, even on acetate that says you can heat heat emboss, I still find it's more trouble than it's worth, because it always warps no matter what I do. I try to like just be real quick, and I don't know, or maybe I'm just no good at it. So anyway, I'm using some foam tape here, some Hefty Doodle foam tape that's got a nice thickness to it, and I'm just putting it around in a square around the back. I don't feel like actually making it go in an oval, although you could. And I'm putting a bunch of sequins right in the middle of the cardstock there. So I'm going to line up the top panel in the score buddy and try to get everything aligned. I still end up just slightly off, but I don't care. You can see the red off to the side a little bit on my card, but I kind of like the way that looks. So I am not going to try to trim anything down using a craft knife or anything. I'm just going to leave it be. And I guess I probably could have put even more sequins in here to really fill it up. I guess I could have done like one of those full panel shaker cards, but I didn't. Now here I am going to go ahead and I'm going to do some more, use the stencil. And I'm using, I think, I'm not sure what color I've got there for the green. I thought maybe it was celery, but looking at the video, I'm not quite sure that's it. But for the blue and the orangey color, I'm going to use Seafoam and Melon. And I'm kind of wanted to do non-traditional colors on this. And they do, like the other inks, they dry back quite a bit, so it's not quite as vibrant when all is said and done. And I've got this sped up quite a bit again. But with the melon and the peachy color and the green, and the blue actually doesn't show up as blue because it's going over the top. It changes color, but I don't care. I think everything turned out nice anyway. And I'm kind of loving the way it looks when everything is said and done. And I don't end up putting any kind of dots on top of these mushrooms. I just let it color or dry back, because I am going to end up using some mica spray on top. And I'm going to use, let's see if I can find the color mica spray I use. It's got like mint in the title. Merry Mint, I believe, is the one we end up using. No, that's two. It's not Merry Mint. I lied. It's Frosty Mint. I'm going to end up using Frosty Mint on my card panel here. And I just love how vibrant that is in this shot. I kind of wish it didn't dry back. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to spray from kind of a far up, because I want like a fine mist on my card. And so looking at it here, you can't really tell how much of the mica spray I put on, but it's got a little bit of a nice shimmer. And I'm going to use the cardstock, the glitter cardstock that came in the kit, and I am going to just put that on after I stamp a greeting of thank you. And I am using the Seafoam ink for this. And I love this Seafoam color. It's just such a nice kind of aqua-y blue. And it did take me more than once to stamp it, but you know, I kind of cut out some of the rerunny parts. And you know, my editing skills are not the greatest, but I try to at least make a card that makes some sense, you know, when you're watching me. Now here is where you're going to think I'm a little crazy. I'm cutting this panel in half. Now you might not think that's the weird part. I am going to glue them on this glitter cardstock back to back. Now, I could have fussy cut it out in an oval, and I think when I was originally planning this card, that's what I had myself doing. And I don't know if I just changed my mind at the last minute or decided to be lazy. I can be a lazy card maker at times. But after I glued these two down, you know, they're going to have that giant seam going right down the middle. And that looks pretty dumb. So I brought in some ribbon that matches the seafoam ink pretty well. And I am going to put a piece of ribbon right down the center. And I'm just going to use my tape runner, and I want to glue the piece of ribbon down. Now you can see I've got a bow there that I fiddled with. It probably took me a good 10 minutes to fiddle with that bow. If I would have shown me doing it in real time, you'd be screaming in frustration about now, telling me just to get on with it. And I am putting some double-sided tape just to hold the ribbon down. I thought it was score tape, but then I looked at it and it's a brand I do not know, and I don't know where I got this, but it works just fine. Now, my ribbon looks a little bit crooked there, and I don't know why didn't look crooked until I got it all taped down, and now it's kind of like too late to move it. But once everything is all put together, it looks fine. So getting that all in place, and I am going to put my little bow down right at the top of this ribbon. Now I like to use a glue dot so it doesn't fall off while I have some liquid glue on either side of the dot drying. It gives my glue time to dry. So I kind of use both. You can see the glue goes on either side with the glue dot in the center. But I do use these little dots as well to hold down the loops of the bow as well as the ends. And that way I don't have to worry too much about my bow being untied or anything else like that. You know, and I like the way that bow is kind of just takes up the whole top of that card. I think it's cute. Okay, not the whole top, maybe half of it. But I'm going to glue down the thank you flat. I probably could have popped it up because once I put the bow on, the card has dimension. But again, you know, being a little bit lazy there, and just that's it for card number 2. Now moving on to our third card here, I am going to stamp out all of the critters and the pumpkins and the fire, everything except the sentiments. I'm going to go ahead and stamp out. I do end up having to stamp our little guitar fox more than once because I originally stamped him too close to the end of the paper, and I want to, yeah, that was a nice pause there. I stamped him too close to the end of the paper, and I was afraid it wouldn't die cut properly, so I just went ahead and moved him and restamped him. You know, looking at these little critters, they're not all foxes, which is what I said when I unboxed it, but these critters are a perfect match for Simon Says Stamp and Hero Arts collaboration for Stamptember. There's a set that's still available as of this voiceover from Hero Arts. I think just the stamp, I don't think the dies are, of a set with little critters with instruments, and it looks like I think some of them are dancing. I did order it to go with this kit because they work so well together. So I've got my coloring way sped up here. I'm using some Nuvo, not Nuvo, the Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend markers. And I love them for like flowers and pumpkins and stuff. I'm thinking, though, that I need more colors. I don't have as many colors as I thought I do. So next time I do critters, I think I will color them up using some Copics. I don't have a huge variety of Copics, which is why sometimes it's hard for me to choose different color blends. With the tri-blends, they're right there. You get the 3 shades, and you know, if I would have just named myself like Tina the Lazy Crafter, then I guess that would be more understandable. But I guess I should at least try to figure out which of my Copics blend best together. And I had a little bit of a hard time figuring out what color to do some of these critters, because while I know this is a bear here, and I know that the guitar little critter is a fox, I'm really not too sure what some of the others are. I think one of them is a badger, which he turns out really cute. I color him in gray, which is not a badger color. And then I've got one little critter that's up there with the red tie that I do gray, and I'm not sure what he's supposed to be. I don't see a raccoon, because a raccoon would have a little mask over the face. And the reason I think the guitar wearing critter's a fox is because of the tail. So, you know, I think that possibly our little critter there, that's above the badger that I haven't colored yet, I think that might be a squirrel due to the tail. Yeah, this one right there that I'm working on, I think that might be a squirrel, but it's just so confusing. And then there's the one up there at the top. You can't see me coloring yet at all, but I do move it down. I don't spend the whole time with it out of frame. So as far as I know, I think these are all in frame as I color them. And I did try to use coordinating colors. I've got these in like oranges and some tans and reds, and even a few greens, because I wasn't sure if I was going to put green on my cards. But the greens I use are a very light green, and so they go well with the fall colors. And I probably could have put some music on, and I even thought about speeding this coloring up more or cutting it out altogether. You tell me, do you like watching coloring? It seems like I think YouTube is divided into 2 groups when it comes to coloring. You know, those who like to watch it and those who would just as soon skip over it. And okay, maybe 3 groups. Those who don't care one way or another. Or those who do care, and those who want to see what color it is, which you can't really tell the way I'm going so quick and not really putting the caps down. So, okay, so there's 4 types of people who have opinions about coloring. Can we come up with some more? I'm sure I could. I mean, after all, nobody can ramble like me. So this little badgers, am I doing the, oh, that's the one, that's the critter, I'm not sure what it is that I just got done doing in the gray. Now here is our fox with the guitar. And I just think I think they all are a lot of fun. I just like the way they look like they're all just like jamming and really having a fun time dancing. If they were going to like dance around the campfire singing a song, I wonder what it would be. What would be the fox's song? I mean, we all kind of know what the foxes say, I guess, at this point, but what do the foxes sing? That's the real question. I haven't got a clue. Foxy lady? I don't know. Fox on the Run? That's another good one. That one probably shows my age, because I remember when that was a hit. And there's probably some of you that have never ever heard of that and need to go run and look it up now. And no, I am not going to sing that. So, moving on, I am going to use this Hero Arts background stamp. It's Windswept Leaves, I believe is the name of it. I will try to put a link down in the description box if it is still available, because it makes a great background for these fall cards. And I originally was just going to use it on this third card, but I do end up using it on the third and fourth card. And I use the caramel ink on both backgrounds here. I don't know if you just heard there was a car horn going off in the background. Sorry, it was kind of annoying, but hey, what are you going to do? So yeah, that was card 1, and now I am stamping card panel 2, or actually card 3 and card 4. Get those nice and stamped down. I'm using the Tim Holtz mini cutter or whatever, mini stamp positioner, because I didn't feel like pulling out the waffle flower mat I have in the Misty. And luckily I do have a Tim Holtz stamp positioner, and I just happened to buy it at the right time, and then I guess they disappeared. Now for this background here, I am going to use the caramel ink, and I'm going to kind of just put it all around the background. I could have used it, the ink right on my mat, but I didn't want to get ink on it, so I just used a piece of scrap paper. And I'm going to use the glitter paper that came in the kit as a background. And I've got, if you noticed, I have like leaves cut out of it. And I'm just trying to position my critters on this background. And I'm going to use the sentiment, let's dance like the leaves in the wind. And my sentiment, it's cut out using a rectangle die and some Hero Arts Intense Black ink. But it's a little too white, so I'm just going to use whatever ink is on my brush and get a little color on it. And we're just going to glue our panel down using, again, the tape runner. And I get that down. And the funny thing is, after I did all my cards using this tape runner, I was looking at it and I was wondering, and I'm like, I sure hope this is a permanent tape runner and not a temporary one. I'm not sure. Now I'm using glue here. It's like I can't make up my mind. But I think the glue almost sticks a little bit better to the glitter cardstock. And I'm just gluing that baby down, and you're going to see I got it sped up. I think this whole tape is like double time. And the funny thing is, when I added all the film clips of my 4 cards, I want to say it was like 2.5, 3 hours. It really, for whatever reason, took me a long time to make 4 cards. And it's not like I had to figure out what I was going to do, because I had them sketched out. And still, I think sometimes card making just seems like it shouldn't take as long as it does. And I don't think I'm a particularly slow card maker. I'm sure there are people that are a little bit quicker, but I mean, my coloring takes an average amount of time. So it's not that. And I don't know. It just always surprises me when I see how long it takes to make 4 or 5 cards. Especially when I used to do the Spellbinders cards, and I think I would get through 10 of them and it would take nowhere near as long. I don't know if that's because Spellbinders had all the ephemera pieces, the little that you would use, whereas these type you do end up doing a lot more stamping and cutting and things like that. So I'm putting just 6 sequins down the center of this card, some gold sequins that I just pulled from my stash. I think we all have a bunch of gold sequins somewhere. They're the same gold sequins I used in the shaker card. I don't think I mentioned then that they were just something from my stash. I actually think they might be Brutus Monroe. So that's it. Now For this last card here, this one took me longer than it should have. You're going to see me make a mistake that I think, well, I thought at the time that I had ruined the card. This ends up going in a little bit of a different direction because honestly, I think my fix looks okay, but I pretty much had it ruined at one point, and I would have had to color my critters again and start all over. Now I've got some reddish orange, again, glitter paper here. It's got a little bit of an orange hue to it. And if you notice there, I did right like on that cardstock. So if you enjoyed listening to me and wouldn't mind, I would love it if you would hit the thumbs up. That really helps the YouTube algorithm. It helps me a whole lot. But anyhow, I did have some of this red glitter paper in my stash, and so I used that to put little toppers on the two little mushrooms you saw there. And I am arranging my three little critters that I have left, dancing around the fire here. And see, this mushroom that I just grabbed right now wasn't dry. It had the unicorn lacquer on it that I put on it before I even started making any of these cards, and it was not dry. So I threw that one away, and I didn't worry about it. We're only going to use the one mushroom. But I'm trying to figure out where everything's going at this point. So you have to stick around if you want to see how I ruined this card and how I think I fixed it. So, you know, it always amazes me how long these videos are, and I'm like, oh, I'll have time to tell some stories, but I don't. So this is kind of what I did to ruin this card. I'm looking at these three guys, and I'm like, well, they're kind of floating. I think I need to ground them a little bit. Now, my last card, they were grounded on the sentiment. So I'm like, I'm just going to scribble on some grass right underneath them. I see other card makers do that, and it looks fine. But when I did it, it was not fine. And I haven't done it yet, but that's, you know, you're gonna see it's a hot mess. And it's just I don't know, like I see other card makers, they put white gel pens on their critters and it always looks great. I do it and it's just it doesn't look that great. And there are just certain things that I just think I cannot do as a card maker. And ground my animals on a little piece of pen work or marker work does not work for me. And putting little white highlights does not work for me. Okay, here we go. This is kind of cringy. It's not so bad at first because I'm using an alcohol marker that's kind of light. And I mean, it's like, oh, that's not working too well. Maybe if I darken it up, like that was a good idea. Not. And I just keep going at this point. I'm like, I am not seeing what's in front of me. And what's in front of me is, man, that looks bad. So I go ahead and I'm just going to glue my little pumpkins down. And, you know, I'm going to take that set of 3 leaves, and I'm going to glue that down. And I'm just like, okay, this is fine. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to glue my sentiment down flat. And that's where I'm like, wait, what side? I stamped it out twice, but that side didn't work. So we've got leave your worries behind. And, you know, with all these leaves on here. And so I'm thinking, well, let's cover it up with some grass. So I die cut some pieces of grass. But that's way too big, I decide, you know. And I'm like, well, let's cut it down. Maybe if I cut down this grass. And, you know, maybe if these critters weren't glued down, I could have put the grass behind them at that point and saved them. But no, so here's what I end up doing. I cut out little hills, kind of, that each of them can stand on using a piece of light green cardstock that I had in my stash because the pieces of grass just, the ones that were die cut weren't working out. And I glued down these 3 little hills for my critters to stand on. Now I do have to pry up the little bear's foot there. And that first little hill didn't work under the bear, so I'm cutting another one because not only do I have to have my little critter stand on these pieces of cardstock, I have to hide the marker. And so I do end up prying up the bear's foot a little bit. I don't want to trust my luck trying to get the other critter's feet up because, it could look like, it looks like our little gray critter's jumping, which is fine. And it looks like our little badger's kind of, he's got 1 foot up, so that's not too bad. But that bear, we got to put that foot somewhere. And I got to make sure that this mound that he's standing on covers up as much of that marker as I can. So I kind of just pry that foot up, and I end up putting a little bit more glue underneath it. And I am lucky that turned out as well as it did. But it still doesn't look great. So I'm going to put some leaves on top of these pieces of grass. And I'm going to use some of the colored cardstock that came with the kit. And I do end up cutting out a couple extra leaves. I didn't have them done at first. I think I only had like 3 leaves. I had a maple and oak, well, 2 maples, a big maple, a small maple, and an oak. And I do end up cutting out a second oak and a second maple. And I end up putting this mushroom down by our little bear. And I put him there because he's covering another little bit of marker that's showing through. And so this card ends up a lot more crowded than it was originally. And here I'm going to put a little oak leaf right on the other side. I don't know if anything's poking through or if I just did that to even out stuff. And I am going to put a big maple leaf underneath the sentiment. And then you saw where I just kind of put it off on the right-hand side. I end up cutting out another maple leaf to put on the right side. That's why I've got my dies out there. I've got them on a magnetic sheet so I don't lose them. And now I'm looking at my card and I'm figuring, what is it? In for a penny, in for a pound? Pound being British, pound, I think that's the saying. And so, or I could have just gotten 2 sayings mixed up. That's always possible too. Anyhow, I'm like, let's go ahead and put some sequins on this card as well. We've got it this crowded. Let's do it even more. So I want to hear what you think of this card. I really would love to know if you're like, oh my God, it's still ruined. You did nothing to fix it. Or it's kind of fixed if you like that kind of thing. So, let me know. And if you've made it this far, thank you. And if you're a subscriber, thank you. And if you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you. Because I have fun. And hopefully you had a little fun watching. And here are my 4 cards. And you won't see any other cards like this. I'm an original. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I do think after all is said and done, these cards turned out pretty nice. I have no complaints. Okay, maybe 1 or 2, but anyhow, that's it, and bye-bye for now, everyone.